Welcome back to the Butlers Kitchen. I am Jabriel Moore Butler, your host. Today we are talking about domestic violence. This is affecting over 24 million people in our communities. We need to talk about it. Today I have a panel. Chaser, they are going to let us all have it and let us know their points about domestic violence. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Bernard Newby.
I'm Jasmine Dilworth.
I'm Ralph Bertrand.
I'm Gloria Terrell.
And I am Kim Butler.
All right, guys, domestic violence.
Yes.
You know, our community, especially now with the atmosphere, what are you thinking? I mean, it is, for me, I am witnessing relatives, I'm witnessing friends who are home now because, let's face it, COVID-19, you're now with someone more than you normally have been, right?
Yes.
Right.
I like to say, you're starting to get to know that person all over again. Your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. These 6 months now? Been 6 months?
6 months.
Been 6 months now. Has been an awakening. And I fear that some of that awakening has caused this domestic violence to be on the rise. 24 million people are affected by this. And I know myself, I've had my own story we'll talk about later with domestic violence. And, you know, but Bernard, tell me, what does it mean to you? And what is your history with this?
My whole take on domestic violence, especially in this time period where we have COVID, where people are, like you said, you are getting to know someone all over again or more than what you thought you knew.
Oh, yeah?
But it's more so than that because it's now you have someone that you're home with. And if it was happening before, it's happening more now. So my take on it, my thoughts on it, my prayers on it is for those that are in those situations where they are being abused more so than before. A lot of people are out of work. That creates a lot of tension,
Stress,
and a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, especially on relationships. Especially when you have, it could be a man or a woman that is not up to par, stepping up to what they feel. Especially, I'll use men for example.
Oh yeah, come on.
We feel that we should be the head of the house. We should be the ones that bring home the money, this, that, and the other. But when you lose a job or you don't have the resources coming in because of COVID, if you were already mean and abusive to that woman or to those children at home, now that you're home because of COVID, you're even more so abusive and more so destructive to them. So that's where a lot of the problems are right now and where attention and focus need to be given. Those women, those children, those men, they need help. It's just not the abuser or the abused, but the abuser needs help too.
We're going to come back to some of the things that you talked about because there are some hot points that I don't want to miss. Yeah. Mom, what do you think?
Like you said, being home 24/7 with a person, and you thought you knew them before, but being home 24/7, you see a side that they probably don't want you to see. They've been able to cover it up because you're in and out and all that kind of stuff. But being home all the time, get on your nerves. Say the wrong thing say something that you don't think is wrong, but they perceive it as something wrong.
Right.
And, here we go. And where are you going to go to get out the way? You can't go in the room and lock the door because they probably gonna kick it down or whatever. And the children see all this stuff, and it
sinks in.
And subconscious. That's where all the stuff comes from. Whoever's abusing you probably saw somebody abuse their parents or whomever, and it's just generational, and it keeps going and going. We have to stop it somewhere.
We have to, and we're going to get to that too, because I think a lot of key points you said there, one that strikes me is a generational curse.
Yep.
And I do call it a curse.
It
Yes.
is.
You know, when you see your grandpa, daddy, or uncle, you know, acting destructive behavior. As a child, you see that. And that's why I always say to people, be careful what you do and say around children.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Because they're going to take it.
Oh, yeah. It goes right in.
It goes right out.
That's right.
The two youngest at the table. You know, I love the young perspective. Babies. The babies.
Our future.
So tell me about it. What do you? What's going on in your head about it?
So what it means to me, I still look at it from the perspective of a kid because I witnessed it personally.
Okay.
So as a kid, I've seen my mom be abused several times by different people in my life. So whether it be my dad, my real dad, or a stepfather, or
Right.
boyfriends after that, I witnessed it. And what it means to me, and what it like I saw is alcohol played a big problem in it. So alcohol, drugs, low income. I've seen my mom get beat up. She got punched in the face right next to me before. So now it's also a thing of perspective. Now I could use that and be like, oh, I hit women because I've seen it. But no, I don't because I've seen it and I became a better person from it. That's the last thing I want to put my family through.
Right.
And then as far as the kids, I mean, I got like disciplined and like spanked on the behind,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the grandparents are a little bit more rough than the parents were, but
Have to be sometimes.
Oh, no.
That's a whole nother subject.
to be honest, I didn't even think of COVID, bringing people together and making it more of a risk now. That's something that completely slipped my mind because like as a grown man now, it's like I don't even think of it anymore.
You don't
Now,
think
but I
about
know some people are scarred from it emotionally and tragically, and it's something that we should bring to light.
Yeah, it's a good to see that this is just happening in our community. It happens all over.
It does.
So this is again, I like for the Butlers Kitchen to bring everyone together. That's why we are here together today. Jazz, what do you think, baby?
Yeah. Well, I experienced it through a family member, so I don't have. It's not as personal, but I see it through her eyes. But ever since COVID started, my first thought was to the kids. Because they're home from school, they don't have their friends, they don't have their safe places, they can't drown out the noise. And like he said, alcohol plays a big part.
Right.
And I know a lot of people have been having more happy hours at home. But I just keep thinking about the kids, and I think about how it's going to affect them because like they're out of school. Oh, and I feel like in a lot of communities that experience higher domestic volumes of domestic violence, they don't have the resources to really get their kids situated at home. So
Right,
that's
right,
another thing,
right.
and then they're focused on that. Like I just can't imagine being a kid, being in a room on a laptop when like something like in the other room. Like, how can you?
Right.
That's what my mind goes to.
Yeah.
And then I think, how can we stop this? But I feel like it's along the same lines as how do you stop bullying? You can't really. You just have to educate more people on how to see it in people before they are
See
comfortable
the
coming to you.
signs.
Yeah.
See the signs.
Because we see it as just like a black eye, and it's like, oh, but it's like, I feel like that's like step 5 and not 1, 2, 3, 4. They get ignored. So
Right.
Kim, do you think there are signs that we miss
Oh,
off the top?
Absolutely. I too was a product of seeing my parents, as well as it happened to me. So my concern, especially during the pandemic, was in the height of the pandemic when everything was closed, they had nowhere to run to. They had to stay in that house because everything was shut down.
Right.
So they had to suffer it. And so it does start with emotional abuse. That's where it first starts. It really does first start.
It
with
starts
that.
there.
Right, and then verbal, and then it escalates. Just as you said, almost to step 5, it escalates from emotional to verbal, and now I got you.
And when I get you, what?
When I get you, now I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is almost. I remember, like I said, I've been a victim of it as well, in my younger days, like my 20s, when you first start, getting out on your own, you trying to make sure that you fit in, or you knew it wants to be lonely,
Right.
Right.
And I remember the first time I got hit. I sat down. Literally, I didn't like attack back. It was, I couldn't believe this motherfucker hit me.
Same.
I went like, did he just hit me?
Same.
And so then it wasn't until it sunk in that I was hit. that I got enraged, and then that enrage started like a little ball of fire. Then it just became like this big ticking boom, and then there I go. Both of us fight, and I'm not gonna go out like no sucker.
Right.
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 But then here we go. How that song go? Break up to make up. Because he just didn't mean it that time. He had a bad day. He had another thing going. So then we find excuses
Yeah.
for that behavior.
That's the same for me. 'Cause when I was hit the first time, I kind of sat back like, did I just get hit?
Right.
And God said, okay, so you didn't hear me the first time? Let me hit you again.
Come
Because
on.
you just asked the question, did you get hit?
Right.
So
right,
then he hit
right,
me again and said,
right.
oh yeah, well, that happened.
Yeah,
that kind of happened. and so, just
Yeah.
like you, I fought back. Because you're not going to
Hey,
hit me. I'm
because-
going to fight you back.
Because the sad thing is, and here's what I go back to my childhood with. My mom and dad would say, "Don't you bring your ass home,
Right.
okay? If you better fight back.
Yeah,
'Cause
you better fight back.
better fight back." So that was instilled that even though I got hit
Yeah.
or beat, I'm gonna still fight you back.
I'ma fight
I ain't going nowhere though.
Right.
Now, that's a sad thing.
Because just like you said, you make excuses. So
I-
my excuse for him was, oh, he's on drugs. He needs rehab.
Oh,
Let me put him in the center.
Yeah, let me help him.
He'll be okay.
But it's okay if he did not want to go to the center, then he's not going to
That's
change.
what I learned. That's what I learned. I put him in the center without him wanting to be there.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
right out.
Come right up being the same.
Yes.
Or if not worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Worse probably.
Because it's not his intention.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not his intention to
what
change.
If you don't
It's-
want to be helped, then you're not gonna change, and then you're gonna remember, oh, she did this to me.
Yes.
So
Now you
Now
have
you're
a
really
reason.
upset.
There's a reason.
Right,
next time,
right.
okay, it's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
I really believe that the attacker, the aggressor, studies you.
They do.
I believe that. I believe
Yeah.
I
wholeheartedly.
believe some of them do.
It's a strategic study of,
Yeah.
and they find your weakness. They find what, and I know for me at that time, because we all have different phases in our life. Because right now, I wish you thought about hitting me.
Right.
I might have fun. I'm just saying. I might tell you up.
My name would be 4987.
Right.
When we
I
But-
can't put nothing on your book.
That's it. Not on your book. But I remember that I was vulnerable because I wasn't from here. I didn't know a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And I trusted this person because this person was from here. And what amazed me, and after the first, second, and third time, I still stayed there. Because why? I'm going to help him get.
I'm a help.
Yeah.
I'm going to help him
gonna
get
help
back.
him.
I'm going not that God didn't say that.
Right.
That was my plan, not his.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you hide it from everyone else?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
I know I did it.
Oh, because why? We're shamed.
We're
Right.
shamed,
Yeah.
and everybody thought. For me, everybody said, "Oh, he's a good guy." So I wanted them to keep that perception.
Well, my folks didn't say that.
Okay. Sorry.
So we had this term called trade. I know you know what trade is. Well, these men who behave like straight heterosexual men who you would never think were
Yeah.
gay.
Yeah.
And I met this brother at a club, and I figured if I meet you at a gay club, there ain't no way possible you could be in the closet,
Exactly.
or it's no way. You at a club. But it was that kind of brother that didn't want no one outside of he and I to know what we were. And when that came up, because I had a party, y'all, and it incited him that I invited. I had a party, and he was there, and he was exposed.
Right.
Can't expose trade, y'all.
Right.
Can't expose.
Okay.
So I'm in the kitchen, and I'm cleaning up after the party, the dishes and everything. And he comes behind me. Yeah, you think you smart, don't you? And next thing I know, he has pushed me up against the wall and starts choking me. in the kitchen, you know. I'm from the South.
Kitchen is the worst place.
That's the one
With
place
knives.
you don't want to mess with.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
in the kitchen.
You're right.
I'm already in the kitchen. There's too many things in this
Right.
kitchen that I can get to.
Exactly.
Now, mind you, he was a
Exactly.
little bit bigger than I was at the
Yeah.
time. And so all I could see that was in my arm's reach was a frying pan. So this is why they call me the frying pan man. In the family, they all know why they call me the frying pan man. Because all I saw was that frying pan, and I reached for it as he was choking me. And I did one of those moves that when I came across, he unleashed, let me go. And I just went to town, y'all. I couldn't see.
So boy, man.
The anger, I could not stop. Even when blood is flying everywhere, and I'm still one and the two, and I'm gonna DN his ass to death. You know, that was the only time, Kim, that I said, "This enough's enough." I had to ask myself years later, why did it take me? Because I could have killed him, and then that could have been me in jail.
Right.
In jail, maybe locked up for life, because let's face it, gay people will get the same rights as, you know, come on now.
Yeah.
Y'all up there fighting in PG County, you done killed, you done shot it. You're going, you know.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so that's what made me think about this. That I waited until I became the aggressor.
Same. I mean, it's probably everybody's story. Like I said, he was on drugs. He was, at the time, it was called crack. On the street.
Okay, crack is whack.
And I was, it's funny that you said that you were in the kitchen. I was ironing clothes in the basement. And here he comes down, coming down the basement and about to hit me. And in my mind, I was like, he clearly has to be on drugs because I have a iron in my hand.
Okay.
And he is about to hit me.
And what did you do to
I
cause him?
pressed him straight. I mean, I have iron marks still on my body. I mean, that's a mark to say never let anybody hit you again.
Right.
But I mean, whew. Woo, talk about permanent press. Yes, that's what it did to me.
Yeah.
And like you said, I became the aggressor.
And was that your point?
That was my point, but I also realized that it carried on into all my other relationships.
Come on.
Because I took on the aggressor role, not hitting people,
Right.
but being very. I had this wall around me, like, you're not going to talk to me in any kind of way, so I'm just going to be mean.
Yep.
So it was like you found other ways to become the abuser.
Exactly.
So
And unfortunately,
took off
you're
one-
right.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
you went
you're
from
right.
one aspect to a whole nother
That's so
aspect.
true.
It's like how to get
Because
you
that was
before
the
you
way.
get
Yeah.
me.
That was my way to
So it was your
protect
way to
myself.
protect yourself
That
and
is
your
so-
way
Like
to
you won't
deal
hit
with
me if
it.
he fears me.
How about
Yeah.
exactly?
Well, I'm gonna
That's
cut him off
exactly-
before he can even get there.
There you go.
Let me stop it. Ahead of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I walked through life like that as well. It was, I'm gonna get you before you get me.
Yeah.
And I also watched for signs. And I told my friends the same thing. I said, if you notice controlling behaviors in the beginning, and don't bypass a small controlling feature, because they add up.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
They
seem
add
like
up.
they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Right, because it's all about finding your weakness. Right?
Yeah, those signs are like breadcrumbs. They're gonna lead somewhere.
Yeah.
So you have to understand where these breadcrumbs coming from. Are they leading to the table, or are they leading away from the table?
Okay.
The table is where we come together. We're all together. It's love at the table. But if those breadcrumbs are leading away from the table, don't follow that path.
But for me, it's interesting so we both saw it as children. I actually stopped someone from hitting my mother, a boyfriend hitting my mother as a child. I would never have thought that I was going to be in that situation ever, because I was like, this, what I saw my mother go through, I'm not going to let that happen to me, and then it happened.
Boom. Yep.
It
Same
is.
here. I saw my mother go through some things with some boyfriends,
Yeah.
and I remember even as a child, one time I remember my mom, her second husband, He did, so I can say his name, Ricky. Good indeed.
Oh, Ricky.
Good and Ricky, what you call it. You know, I had came home from school. I was probably about 13, and Mom was at work. She was a nurse, and he was home, and he had lines of. At the time, I didn't know what that stuff was. He had lines of white stuff on the table.
Oh.
You know, I'm from the country. Again, I had never seen anything, didn't even know anything about that. So I'm like, well, he got baking soda on the table. You know, I'm like, well, they got baking soda. And he done this, and he done this smelling baking soda. You know, he was.
Of course, snorting.
Yeah. So I took my mom, got off work, and you know he went tonight. So I said, Mom, Ricky was in there. He crazy. He in there smelling baking soda. Mom said, smelling baking soda. Yeah, he had it on the table. Mom was lined up on the table like that. and he was just down there smelling it. And I was like, well, it's a baking soda don't smell like it. It smell the same, right, Mom?
Right.
My mother was smart. She didn't say anything to me to let me know that of what it was, right? All I know is that morning when he got home, they were fighting. My mother was a small, featured woman, and he's a big guy. But she took her legs and she pushed him off of her with her legs, and I could see this. So I go in the kitchen. Here we go in that kitchen again. I go in and get the knife.
Oh.
Cause I'm gonna cut this man. That's my mama.
Right.
That's my mama.
Right.
You know, my little ain't number 20, but maybe at the time 45, 55 pounds wet. You know. And so when I go in, he slaps me and knocks me over a kerosene heater and I break my leg.
Oh.
And I think at that point, that was it for my mother.
Yes.
That was my mother.
Right.
Mess with me,
Like,
don't mess with
my
my
child. Right, right.
So when they came, so that's when I said, oh wow. As parents, myself now, I now was like, oh, my son will never witness that, and sure enough, he did. Seeing me go through that myself, so it's a generational thing.
It is. Mom just said something. Mess with me, don't mess with my child.
Right.
My kids for dad. We was married forever, and that's their dad. But you will not spank them. I wish you would touch my children, and that's their father because of what I saw and what I went through.
I don't mind you spanking my child if you're correcting them for something that they've done wrong, but don't take it to extremes.
I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even no, it's like you can't touch them. They're mine. He's like, they're mine too, but no, you just not gonna touch my children. Because of what I've seen and what I went through.
Right.
It's just like I can't have a man touch my daughter.
They're like in my family, the men in my family don't change the diapers of the female babies.
Yeah.
They don't. I have never not seen it.
Right.
And myself, I don't either.
See?
And it's just been instilled in me.
Yeah.
You know, and my mother, because what she went through, it all passes down. But we're gonna pick this up and pick up some of these and go deeper in some of these stories, because there are some things that I know that we all been through, but there is something else in it for somebody else.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, we talked about what domestic violence means to us, to each other, and what we experience personally. But we know that there are very different variations of domestic violence. You know, we know there's mental, physical, let's call them out. Mental, physical, emotional, psychological. But there is coercion too. You know, there's coercion, there's financial coercion, reproductive coercion. People don't even really understand that.
Right.
I bet you there are people today that have been involved or witnessed domestic violence of some sort and don't even know it.
So explain financial
Yeah.
and reproductive.
So financial. So you are in a relationship with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. But they're controlling you how you spend your money.
Yeah.
What's your question? I'm gonna go back in the days, Ma. Back in the day when you was younger.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
In your household, mom and dad. And some folks like me-ball, peepaw, grandma, whatever you want to say. Who was financially in control?
My dad.
Your dad.
My dad worked 2 jobs. He worked at General Electric and at night, and during the day he would like cut wood and take it to a sawmill or cut it up and have firewood for the winter and that kind of stuff.
Right.
My mom didn't start working until my youngest sister started elementary school. There's 7 of us. So dad everything.
Okay.
And once she went to work, I'm not sure, what the dynamics were, but they worked together.
So that was that. So you didn't see or would
No.
even thought that was anything.
I never heard my dad raise his voice to my mom
All
or
right.
vice versa.
Okay.
So, I had no idea of, all this stuff that could go on.
How about yourself when you became a woman and married? Could you address the maybe a financial coercion? I could tell you a story myself.
All right, I came out of school when I graduated from high school when I was 16. I was
Smart.
There were 3 of us that were 16 the year we graduated. Okay, I came up here to go to business school, but with 5 still at home, I dropped out and went to work so I could send money home, for the rest of them. And met this guy and got pregnant. And when I came back, I went back to, I was working at AT&T, and I had met my ex-husband, like senior year of, we got to know each other really summer before senior year in high school. And city boy,
City boy.
with the car and, money and my dad, they family, friends and stuff.
Yeah.
So we dated till I graduated, and when I came up here, we broke up. And then I got pregnant, and when I came back, we started talking again. So he was kind of financially supporting me at the, and he called shacking, and I told him, no, this ain't gonna work. So we
All right, I know shacking.
we got married.
What shacking is, right? Y'all young for those shacking is?
Yes.
Okay.
And we got married and moved to this apartment, and I switched jobs from AT&T to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And back then they were doing key punch, and they were changing over to computers and all. Buku overtime. We worked 7 days a week.
That money was good.
Yearly salary was maybe 5,000, and I could double that doing all the overtime. So and my child was at home with grandma and grandpa. So I'm working,
Yeah.
and he's doing construction and off and on working.
Right, but you making the money.
Black power and whitey this. and all that kind of stuff. So, really, I was the bread one, paying the rent, paying the bills and all that kind of stuff. So, once my daughter, I had to slow down. And, some weeks he didn't get a paycheck. So, he going to his mom and dad, for getting grocery money and all that kind of stuff. So I lost that child because she had a heart defect. And 2 years later, that's when I got pregnant with Clarence. And I'm still working overtime, and I'm still grandma, both of them, helping out with the kids and all that kind of stuff so I can work. And he's still doing the black man and
What was the black man?
he's the head of the house. He's in charge. I can't do nothing without him.
But you're making the money.
Excuse me? All right. My dad always supplied us with vehicles whenever we needed something, that right here. So, working all this overtime, I got tired of getting the, repossessed and, raggedy cars. So I went to Osmond one day.
Osmond.
Chevrolet.
Is that the one on Branch Avenue?
I ordered a brand new car.
Ordered, y'all.
Ordered.
I heard.
And when they called me and said it was ready, I said, honey, can you take me out to Osmond? He said, for what? I said, I got to pick up my car. You got to do what? I said, I have to go pick up my car. He said, and who told you? I did.
Okay.
I had been working at Blue Cross 5 to 10 years. I have stability on my side. They know I have I don't miss no work.
Sure don't.
When they said over, I said time, and I'm right there. And I got my mom and dad behind me. Whatever I need, if I can't do it, Grandma, can you come get us? My dad be here now. I said, what you doing here? Well, the kids called and said they want. I said, Daddy, you just got off from work and you done drove 5 hours to come get my children to take them to the yes. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. I'm right back at the overtime. So as the children are growing, and he still ain't working, if it's cold and rainy, he can't work. Steady drinking. Alcoholics Anonymous, he should have been attending, but when things didn't go his way.
Yeah. So alcohol was really what was
That was his vice.
That was his vice.
Yes, and I mean weekend drunk.
That's a difference.
Friday night to Sunday afternoon, especially people coming from the country visiting, everybody drinking.
Yeah.
And he almost killed us one night because he drunk trying to drive, and then gonna fight me because I asked him to get from behind me. I had to call somebody to come take my children and I home because he was unable to drive. After that, I stopped drinking. And whenever we had to go somewhere, he would go, and then the kids and I would come later. Because I'm not going to kill me if I can help it. Right. So he didn't appreciate that either.
So hearing here, and you got the pitch probably. Things here. We have ignorance. We have ignorance. We have someone that probably lacked education.
Yes,
Education
and self-esteem.
Self-esteem, which mental health. It was never offered here for someone like that. And in that time period, let's face it, that wasn't something that black people.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
And then male ego.
And the male ego.
A black male has for whatever reason, been embedded to say, I am the
Right, and how and you can't make more money.
right. You can't make more money than me.
Yeah, and believe it or not, that also happens in our community.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Some of us.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, really, there are men in our community that do not. They want to be. They look at, if I make the most money, then I am in control.
No.
And see, and that is, and I've seen that. I have friends like that that they won't even date someone that makes
More.
more money than them, or just as much money as them, because then that's control or power.
Wow.
See, that's that financial.
Yeah, that's the finances. Yeah.
So you have to be
That's
very
that
careful
abuse,
of people like that.
Do you think it's a male thing?
You know what?
No.
No, it's
'cause
not.
Women.
Women too.
Women do too.
You know, really, it's on both
You
sides.
can make more. You can make more money than me.
That's fine. Yeah.
Zoom in. I'm okay with it. I know it's gonna get cut.
With
So.
that, those people like to throw it in your face too.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yes.
that's the whole purpose
Like they
of
take,
it.
yeah.
The
Like
whole
I
purpose
think
of
anyone
it.
that cares, I feel like, for me personally, like I just want someone who's around, like at least where I am, like in life. I'm 25, so
Right.
like
Right.
should have stability, should have a job. I don't want to date someone that doesn't have like something.
Yeah.
Take care of me.
You know?
That's another thing.
Right, Mama.
But it's like a healthy balance. Like you want them to have money because you want them to be able to do things that you like to do. You can
Yeah.
enjoy things, but
You
not
gotta be
like
able to
as a sense
contribute.
to think of like their worth as a person. Like that's not the same.
All right. Should that person have their own place?
I
Should they still be at home?
ideally I'd like them to have their own place, but if they're not, but they're like doing
Working-
something, yeah, like
working
not just like
towards-
at home, just so they're all figuring something out. Like
Right,
no,
right,
you
right.
should be doing something and figuring it out at the
Right,
same time.
right,
Yeah.
Right.
Good point. Good point. Let me ask the young crew here a question. Now, and being an interracial relationship, what do you guys? Do you ever that happening like in that world? I mean, your world.
As far as financial,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I can speak from a male. Like I feel like we
Yeah.
have pressure to be that breadwinner and to be the one that
Absolutely.
takes care, and women see the security and things like that. So I think that's like a male thing. Like
Yeah.
we're pressured for that.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I mean, I would prefer to have a woman who does her own thing and doesn't need me. Not that I can't take
see,
care of
it's
her,
that
but
generational thing.
Share.
Right
yeah.
there.
Share.
Yeah, like with
Yeah, I
us,
love it. I love it.
remember like first date, we went to after we went to a bar, we went to Shake Shack, and we like had a fight on who was gonna pay, like that kind of thing. It wasn't a fight. It was just like we both were like, no, I got it.
Your mom and I go through that.
Not with you all, but I can see another layer of abuse, the racial issue.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
I actually have a client. She's black, and with social justice now being forced upon some people, that's how
Yeah.
they feel. She realizes her husband, she's getting a divorce, he's white and older, he's about, I think, 10 years older than her. I don't want to say she's about 38. But yeah, Trump supporter type of,
yeah.
and she's not, and yeah, he would like say some very like racist things, not like overt racism,
Right,
but like
but-
so the subliminal stuff,
Yeah.
and then see that it affected her, and then he'll come up to her and like buy her flowers, and then be not like that type of abuse,
Yeah,
to
see,
where
that's
she
abuse.
felt guilty for not accepting it,
Wow.
like kind of thing.
See.
And that's still a form of control.
It
is.
It's
is.
still
It
a form of
is.
control. It's a form
It
of
is.
abuse because I can treat you any kind of way, but if I buy you flowers,
Exactly.
I buy you
Yeah.
something
And
nice.
said I'm sorry,
you know,
kind of thing.
it's me saying that I'm sorry. It's, no, that is, you're not sorry.
You might be sorry, but
At
you'll
that moment,
do it
at
again.
that moment.
You're a sorry individual.
moment.
That's what that is.
You're-
Yes.
yeah.
You're gonna do it
I
again.
want to circle back. I want to bring some to your attention and just to get your perspective on it. In the state of Maryland, you know, in domestic violence situations, if you could be the person that's getting attacked, like
Right.
I was attacked, but we both had to go down to PG County.
Right.
Because in the state of Maryland, when you both are in a domestic violence, you both go down
Okay.
together.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what is your perspective on some women who take that for granted? For example, some women, they know. I can say what I
The
want to
way
say.
he started, I already know it's right. Yeah.
I can go ahead. I'm gonna say what I want to say. I'm a with you so much,
Right.
because I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me because I know if you hit me, you are going to jail.
Yeah.
Wow.
And some women, and I have witnessed this too, they know it and they use that.
And they use
So
that.
then they're the abuser.
They
Yeah.
are the abuse.
Yeah,
They
it's
abuse
a different
it.
type
Right.
of abuse that you
Uh-huh.
can't see
Right.
by looking at someone.
Right.
But it's, in my opinion, worse. But
Yeah. Because that's intentional.
it's intentional.
That's intentional.
Yeah.
It's not only intentional, but there are actual people out there that are really in those situations
Yes.
where they are being abused. And you're using this as your, as your tool to try and get back at somebody.
Okay.
And if you want to get
What
back
if
at
you're
somebody, just
using the
leave
court system for that stuff, and so when someone comes
Really needs it.
really
Right.
needs it,
Right. Right.
they're so
They
exhausted
can't-
with all the BS
with all
that
the
has come
BS
their
that they
way.
go
Right.
Yeah.
That unfortunately, this individual, and it happens all the time. They let the people
I think
go,
those
and then they end
people,
up
I
killing
think
them
those
or
people
whatever.
should be held accountable for those actions
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and should be
for
prosecuted
Yeah.
for those actions, because that, I mean, just the stigma alone is bad. But then, if you do that to me, and you being female, I'm being male,
Yeah, no one's
you do
gonna
that to me,
believe you.
nobody's gonna believe me.
No.
My reputation is
Right.
tarnished.
Already.
Right.
I could be the salt of the earth, but
Right.
now
Right.
I'm the scum of the earth
Yeah.
because of an accusation that you
Right.
made that was
Yeah.
false
Like,
against
right.
me.
You're being
Right.
abused
And the
and
same-
no one believes
And the
you.
same thing goes to, let me tell you something too. The same thing goes when a woman cries wolf about being raped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Lives over.
Life's over.
Yeah.
It's so unfair that when that happens to a male, everything stops. When there's no proof behind it.
Right.
Now, granted, if there's proof, I'll take his ass to the cross.
Right. Right.
I'm with that. I'm with that. But just don't cry wolf.
Right.
You know, I want to get to a space that we look at signs and we pay attention to them. I want people who are going through domestic violence, I don't care if it's mental, physical, whatever part of it is coming, look at the signs. Love does not look like pain.
Yeah, love does not
Does
reflect
not.
pain at all.
Does not.
Like I said before, if the school systems, they have their like health
Yes.
stuff, they need to have a course on relationship, marriages, all that kind of
That's
stuff,
school days.
starting in elementary school.
Yeah.
Cause I see you. I mean, you're beautiful, and you're muscular and all that kind of stuff. You think
Thanks, Mom.
You're talking in
I'm talking
general.
to Jim.
Read-
Okay,
Read the shirt.
Say I love you for outward
Right.
signs.
Yes.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
once I start talking to you, and like me from the country, ain't never been around a whole bunch of folks and don't know social graces and all this kind of stuff. I don't know what to look for. I think if you be nice to me, that you like
right,
me
right.
and all that kind of stuff. But then that's where you get closer and closer. That's
Yes.
where the control and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff
Yes.
comes in. So there needs to be a course in elementary school on, if you like a person, how the boys do to push in the mud and stick your
Oh,
hair,
yeah.
all that kind
If he
of
hits you,
they
he
like-
likes you kind of
Yes,
thing.
mhm.
I was like, when I first heard that, I think I was like 5. I was
Yes.
like, I don't think that's
Yes.
right.
So there needs to be some kind of instructions for males and females in
Right.
what is should be done to somebody that you
Kind of had. So I could be dating
said back in the day.
myself, but then to me they were the courses that we had were almost gender based. The girls went to home ec. The boys went to shop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they need
Don't
to have
make
something.
What year was this?
I know. About the movies.
No, that was back in the 50s and 60s.
We had home
okay?
ec for everyone.
I can date
You got to
myself
eat.
because that's when.
I was
So it was so gender based because
I thought that was a lunch
and sew and do everything. And I kind of wanted to go to shop. I was like, well, I want to learn how to work on cars and electricity and plumbing and all that. I'm
My
just
mama
like,
said, "Mama told me, you boy, please."
right.
Yes. And they should be taught, money management.
Yes.
Have a checking and a
Yes,
savings,
yes.
and what to do.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're
Definitely.
right. You're right. You're right.
They sort of
Life
kind of
skills.
had it, because I used to work for a nonprofit that worked with children through the court system, and they had like life skills.
Yeah.
A lady would come in, and show them all of that kind of stuff. And to this day, some of them still don't get it. They don't know how to read.
Yeah.
They don't know how to count, other than drug money, dollar bills, and all that. Pennies. They don't know how
Write
to
a
do
check.
that.
I don't think people write checks
Mother.
anymore. They taught us how to write a check.
Yeah.
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 They need to
I
do all
was
of that
8
kind
years
of.
old when I learned how to write
Yeah.
checks.
My-
My mom said,
grandma
said
taught
me and my two brothers, her and my dad sat us down and it was like, you guys gonna pay the bills.
Oh,
Write those checks.
okay.
This is how much money is coming in. This is how much. This is
That's good.
what do we have
Yeah.
left over? And it was like, what do we have left
Yeah.
over? And we
That's
had to,
good.
you know,
Yep.
sit there and
Mine did the
see
same thing.
how to do the
Did the same
whole.
thing.
You know, you have to balance a checkbook. How much money is left? So how much goes towards groceries? How much goes towards savings?
Right.
You know what? You know you can't go to savings for
They
this.
don't know how to
Right. They don't know
And
how
I
to
did the
No.
same thing with my son. My mom, because she was a single parent, did the same thing with me. I was an office manager. And then I did it to my son. He was an office manager. That's how we taught.
Right.
Because that's how you break the cycle.
Right. Right.
Because when my grandpa passed away, it was, grandma was like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so that's
And you see so many
but
people
that
from
is a
generation.
form, whether
And
it
that
is
is a form.
whether it is negative or positive of control.
That's a form of control.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything called religious abuse?
Yeah.
Well, that's-
Forcing
yeah.
your religion on
Yeah.
someone.
Thing, but-
Right. I'm like, am I creating this term?
Religious abuse.
Yeah, religion.
You know, I can see it.
Like you have to go to my church if you marry me.
Like, I
you
see
have
it
to
with
believe what I
children.
believe.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
when
But
you-
see,
Yeah.
but then here's a question I have, and that's probably a whole different conversation. Being equally yoked.
Yeah.
Now, I'm Baptist. Now, if I go, my godparents are Muslim. Now, if I met someone that was a Muslim man, and I was single, he needs to understand something. I'm eating pork.
Right.
I'm not getting my bacon up. That's me and the swine are best friends, and that ain't happening. So if you decide that that's what you want to do,
But I had a friend who
you want to give up your you know, if it make you want to change God's,
Right.
maybe.
right, and that's what happened. She married a Muslim, and he tried to enforce that
Yeah.
on, and she tried to put Christmas stuff up for the kids. And he was like, no.
Ooh, look at here now. Now I knew better than that growing up.
Right.
I wasn't going to my godparents' house with a Christmas
Right.
present.
But in a household, that to me, that was a form of control. It's like you're trying to control. You're taking this away from the kids because you don't want them to.
So wait a minute though. Now, did they have kids together?
They had kids together. I
So-
mean, they end up divorcing.
Right, but was he Muslim when he met her? Did he become Muslim? See.
After.
Here's the problem I have with that. How you gonna become? How you
Right,
gonna
that's not
become
what she
something?
right. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
This was not under the original contract. You didn't give me a modification or anything.
Right.
You need to say your receipt check.
Right.
Right.
Say
But you know,
those
on
things
that note, though, that's something that I think that, you know, if you are going to go through a religious change and your spouse is not part of that
Right.
religious change, then you're
So,
wrong.
so that could be a form of
Right,
abuse
because
because
like-
you're forcing them to do
'Cause
something
of-
they don't want to do.
Right, because like in my household, when it comes to control, Rob and I know what lane to play in.
Right.
You know, and when you know what lane to play in, it's good.
Because at the end of the day, relationships are compromised.
It's compromise.
So you know what you're good at.
Right.
And I know
But
what I'm good at.
compromise don't
Right.
mean get your ass
It
whooped.
does
There you
not
go.
mean that or get cursed
that's-
out.
that's-
Or it don't
That's
mean
not
crying
that.
every day.
That's abuse.
walking forward.
Right.
Together.
Exactly.
But we're gonna talk about signs and as we end this up and how we can do next steps.
Okay.
And making sure that you are if you see the signs, run. Love don't look like that.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, that's the next thing we'll talk about. All right, that's the next thing we'll talk about. All right. We want to make sure that we address the actual instance where you felt the transition from the victim to the aggressor, or where you actually took the situation you were in and today you identify with it to where you know this is how I move forward, this is how I operate. So that instance defined who you are today. And how did it define who you are today? Like for me, I'll start with myself. You know, because of the domestic violence that I went through in those I call them trial relationships, y'all. Because if it doesn't last more than 6 weeks or 6 months, it ain't really a relationship. It's somebody you just hooking up with, right? Y'all feel that?
Yeah.
So I say this, when I found myself in the situations where I was the victim, I am guilty of becoming the aggressor. Even in today, in my current marriage, where I don't even recognize the controlling things I've done because the wall I put up, you know? Like for example, I walked into a room one day. My husband was ironing his clothes, and I walked in the room and he was playing his music. It was loud. I just turned it down 2 notches. Now, I didn't turn it off because in my mind, turning it off meant control. Right? I mean, if I turned it off, then I controlled the situation. But I said, well, I couldn't hear. I'll turn it down a little bit. Now, of course, he went off. And I'm like, what is this man mad about? What is wrong with him? You know, of course he's 10 years older than I am. I'm putting on age. You know, old folks crazy. Old folks, they're sitting here, you know. I came in the room. I turned his music down 2 notches. I didn't turn it off. And I'm like, well, he's going off. What were you going? I wanted to hear it. Hear what? Say what? I don't know. I just wanted to say. It clicked.
Right.
And I'm glad to have my boy Jonathan here. You know, I'm proud of this brother here. You know, he came in from an interview, y'all, so that's why he's a little later than he's supposed to have been here. But we don't want to ever, during this pandemic, do what? Block a black man or anybody
Getting a job.
from getting a job.
There you
Lord
go.
have mercy. Right, John?
That's right.
All right. And I'm glad you were here because, you know, domestic violence, I'm sure, is something that is dear to you, too.
It is.
Yeah, you know. So, welcome and join in when you can.
As I sip, thank you.
Yeah, keep on sipping. All right. So, as I was saying before, as I myself turned the key in becoming the aggressor, and it doesn't mean aggressor in a negative or connotation where you just this growl bear. No, it is sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
You're numb to your own actions. And I want to challenge anybody that's listening to the show that if you have put walls up or barriers up to where you have now turned the table and don't even realize that you're doing the same thing that was done to you, check yourself. Check yourself. And then I also challenge you to look at who you are involved with or who you are surrounded with. If your friends aren't checking you, they're not your friends either. Y'all feel me?
Yeah. Your friends should be there. They should be the ones, you know, when you can't see clearly yourself, they should be the ones talking to you, trying to rescue you from that situation. That's the role of, role of a friend. But you as a friend also has to be that person that listens and accepts,
Absolutely.
that wisdom or knowledge or that pull in the opposite direction. You have to actually listen as well.
Dead zone.
No, because
Thinking.
I think that you can only help your friend if they tell you.
That's one.
Because like we were talking about earlier, we hide it so good
Oh,
because we
yeah.
don't want anybody to know that we're going through it.
Especially when we are, our ego.
Our ego will not allow us to let other people know that this is happening.
And the
in my
shame.
house. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't know that you're going through it. So it's hard to help if you don't know.
I think you have to trust that person
Yeah.
to tell the information to
Yeah.
as well. Because a lot of people are messy. They can
Oh, yeah.
spread your information around. So you have to find that trust
Oh, that is a
within
big
the
issue.
person. It is a big issue.
Tell me, Jonathan, what do you think about domestic violence and how, if how it affects people, and what do you think? Just
Well, I can give one example. So I don't have to argue with you. I'll just shut my mouth and not talk, which is an issue.
it is
That
an
will
issue.
irk someone's nerve. I can walk in the room and not talk to you. I can walk in the room and not even look at you.
Right.
Which is a form of that as well. So I have learned to not do that. I've learned to communicate my issue. After I communicate my issue, what can we do to solve the issue without not talking about the issue at hand?
Right.
So why do you do that? Why do you just not walk in and just not? What is that about? I'm sorry.
Let me jump in because I do it too. So that's for me. So
So what is it? Oh,
I don't know. It's
You
because of
don't
everything that
exist.
I've been through. It's just that I don't have to accept you. You are invisible to me. If I don't feel your energy or anything, you don't exist.
but isn't that energy in itself doing that? I mean,
Now I know that. I didn't know that at first. But no, seriously. If I don't feel your energy
Right.
or something about you that's off, you don't exist
I
in
want
my
no
life.
parts of it.
I can literally not see you, and you'll be in the same room with me.
So with my ex, I did not give him sex for almost 5-6 months.
so that's coercion.
Yeah.
We talked about it earlier. We talked about it earlier. That is a form of domestic violence as well. It's
is.
called it's sexual coercion.
Oh, teach me, okay? I won't do it again. I was serious. Me ain't getting nothing. I'm not talking to you.
Right.
Yeah.
I was
You
sleeping in the
say
other
don't
room.
That is control.
Don't exist.
That is control.
So it wasn't just him. It was I had a play in it as well.
So there
Abuse works both ways.
Yeah,
It's,
both
the individual that's doing the abuse and the one that's getting the abuse, if you're responding that way, you're abusing yourself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
that's
it
your
looks
only
like-
form because you lost control.
That part
So
as
that
well.
you can control that part. Let me control something in my life.
Right.
So if that's the part I can control, then I'm going to control that.
And
That's
that's-
sex.
and
But I didn't really control it because he or she could go out and do stuff.
This
Exactly.
is true. This is
So
true.
So
I
the
lost
only
control.
one,
This
yeah,
is
you
true.
still lost
This is
control because the only one you're actually hurting is yourself.
Definitely so.
Instead of saying, okay, fine, in this situation, instead of me controlling it, I'm gonna take accountability for it.
Right.
I'll be accountable for my part. It's up to you to be accountable for your part.
Yeah.
And after that, my hands are off. My hands is off of it. So I'll be accountable for me and for my actions going forward. Even in an abusive relationship, you could walk out as becoming the abuser yourself,
right,
or you could just be accountable for all of it.
all of it.
Not just what they did to me, but what I allowed myself to get into that position to where they were allowed to do that to me, why I stayed there, and then also where I'm going from, from that point.
Right.
Because I was in a relationship where I was abused. And it was just one relationship. It was like every relationship. It was like, damn, am I a punching bag?
See,
It's just be kind, not everlast. I could have sworn it said everlast.
I have written across my
Right,
forehead.
well, I got to cross my forehead. But then it wasn't until I woke up and actually saw they're not the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
The one in the mirror is the problem.
the one who's allowing it.
You don't love yourself enough. You need to learn how to love yourself enough. You don't have to accept this. And under that guise of they
Right.
need help, I'm helping them.
Right.
It wasn't until God told me, you're not their God.
Right.
Yeah. I know with me, when I was younger, went through a pretty bad psychological abuse. I didn't know, like, when we first started the show, I only thought of domestic abuse as a physical, and then it dawned on me, like, there's so many others. So, like, that was when I, like, looked back on it, and I realized my coping mechanisms for when I was being psychologically abused. I would do that with people who weren't abusing me only because they triggered something that I didn't even know about. And then that, like you said, not the sexual stuff, but, like, the not talking, and then the not, like my coping mechanisms, I can see how that can be a form of abuse to someone who did nothing to me, because now they're wondering, what's wrong? What did I do? She won't talk to me.
Right.
Like the other night. We were laying down and she backs up and she sits on my junk. And I'm like, ow!
I didn't know
that. And she like sat like 5 feet away. I'm like, and
I was like leaning back.
I didn't realize it at first, and then I'm sitting there. I'm like, why is she sitting over there?
Right.
So I'm like, yo, what is wrong? She's like, oh, I'm sorry. And it's just something she does. She gets
I
silent.
know. I'm like, I know. Like, I won't excuse the behavior. I'll try to explain why I did it so he doesn't feel like he did anything wrong. But I also know, like, Jasmine, stop doing that. It's not as easy because, like, you know, when you get triggered, you just do something.
Yeah.
And to me, because it's not like I'm not like doing something where it's like hurting him.
Yeah.
So I think it's harder for me to catch myself doing that until after. I'm trying.
But she kind of spun. She's like, oh, you got a short temper. I'm like,
I know.
Settle my
I tried to justify it. Like I didn't know I did that.
now that I'm apologizing for something, I'm like, wait, what?
Oh.
That's cute.
That's really cute. And so, Bob, from
Now you gonna pick on me.
of course. so, as far as mental, from your generation, did you guys even think about mental abuse? Was that even a? I mean,
Okay, like I said, I'm from the country, just out of high school, and really never dated seriously.
right.
And you don't know stuff. And without, like I said, my parents were together 43 years before my dad passed. I never heard either of them say a cross word to each other. So
imagine?
I have no idea, really what. I'm thinking this is what marriage is supposed to be.
Right.
So when I go in, you can't do this and you can't do that, and
That's strange
you
to
need
you.
to come to. Okay, what did I miss? I mean, said my dad is like 5 hours away, and he didn't, tell me all this stuff.
So that had to been a night and day thing. Like,
It was, and I believe in the marriage till death do us part, sickness and
So you
health,
didn't
and all
kill
that
him.
kind of stuff. So, okay. Now, every time I say something, I'm going this place, that place, or the other. I'm going to work, and you got something to say. What is that? I mean,
could it be though? Could it have been because of his lack of knowledge?
yes.
And maybe because he could have also been scared of being by himself.
He had heard things about me that I knew nothing about. She kind of easy.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, I slept with her and my brother. What? Where is all this go?
Gee.
I'm fresh out the country.
Fresh out the country.
Yes.
Right.
Fresh
I
out.
know nothing about nothing,
So you didn't
and-
know where.
Yes, so and marriage, from my parents, thought was cooperation. You talk and you do this, that, and I'm just thoroughly confused about what I'm supposed to be doing. And like I said, my dad worked 2 jobs, so I think that's where I get it from.
Obviously, Bob. Obviously.
I always made sure my children had food, they
Yes.
had somewhere to stay. I made sure that they got out to be around other people, so they would have like
Other exposures.
social graces. But you gonna tell them they don't need to be going every time somebody. Why? All right, my dad was kind of strict. He didn't really want us, going every time, somebody's car moved.
Right.
But if it was something that needed to be done,
Right.
we could go and, do things. But I won't say what I'm thinking. But
It's unfiltered, Mama. You can't.
no, I don't say that kind of stuff.
Okay.
This
Right
bozo.
Just write it down.
That's right now.
Whisper it to me.
He was intimidated, I think, because he didn't finish school. I graduated top of my class
That's it.
almost,
That's it.
and like I said, I got my driver's license when I was 16. And if I went and told my dad I needed a car, I had a car. Now, he had a vehicle that was repossessed because he wasn't working to pay the bill. That ain't my business. You had that before we got married, so that's on you. And when I told my dad, we need another vehicle, we got another vehicle. Now, whether you took care of it or not, that's on you. But I'm gonna make sure that me and my children have something to get around with. Now, if it break down, that's something different. But I'm gonna make sure it all's changed. I got good tires and all that kind of stuff. And why are you besmirching me? All this.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to help the kids. That was my big thing.
Was that something that meant? Was that like in the crew, in the group of maybe they hung around? Was that something they all thought or behaved?
I have no
idea. Was that a
idea.
generation? Was that something that they did?
He hung around mostly with his cousins, and I told you, alcohol played
in
a
the
big
family,
thing
yes.
in that family. And my dad didn't drink except eggnog at Christmas, if that. But see, I wasn't used to all of this.
That's a no do world.
Yes, and they had guns. And he got arrested with his cousins for being at a party. Somebody stepped on somebody's foot. They went out to the car to get the gun, and everybody got arrested.
Because you stepped on someone's.
You stepped on somebody.
And I almost lost my job going with you to court and all this kind of stuff. And then he said something to Rock. I told him, let your ass go to jail again.
And that was it, right?
And I'm through.
What was the final breaking point? I mean, was there any physical where he put his hands on you? Was there any time where you knocked the shit out of him?
No. Well, I almost hit him with a frying pan and some boiling water one
that's
night.
where I get it from. Okay. That's fine.
But I told him, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm going to jail, and I don't know where my children are. So I backed off of that.
Oh, see, a woman, y'all hear that? A mother.
But that's a lot of women are in that position where they won't do anything because of the sake of their children.
You can mess with me all you want, but when you start messing with my children,
see, you
then
said that. Kim,
it's
you
on.
said that.
It's on.
Kim, you said that.
We went to church one night, and he was out with his family, drinking and playing cards or whatever, and he thought we were later than should have been getting home. So he fussing at me, and Les said something to him, and he grabbed us. Oh, nope, you're wrong now. One of us got to go. Mess with me all you want to. When you start messing with my children, then it's over.
That's I find that's what I find a common thread amongst everybody is when it comes to the children.
Don't mess with the kids.
Everything is off the and I'm like with my son. When being a single father and dating, and I had to make sure that the person that was going to be in the picture, you're not putting your hands. You're not doing that. No. But the protection of making sure that what happened to me would not happen to him. And I think that's what I'm hearing amongst mothers
Children or
That's
loved
awesome.
ones. Children or loved ones. Because like I told you, I saw my mother go through it.
Yeah.
And so when she and my stepdad were dating, and I heard an argument, and he's not a violent person, but I
Right.
just simply heard their voices get louder because of what I saw her go through earlier. I went downstairs and said, "Oh, so this is what you're not going to do." And me as a teenager escorted a man out the house.
Okay.
Okay.
I said,
Okay.
"So what you going to do is leave
Now.
Hello.
because
Hello?
she's not going to go through that again."
Hello.
It was a simple argument, but it triggered something like, I see where this could go. And it didn't, but just because I remember what she used to go through, it's like, you're not going to yell at her, so goodbye.
It's also interesting because you say, like, mess with me but don't mess with the kids. But, like, the way I'm hearing it, it's like kids watching their parents get messed with probably messes them up more than
Yes.
if someone pushed them and hurt
Exactly.
them.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I can
That's
also
a
see why,
generational-
like, you don't want to, like, I can, like, it's interesting to
It
talk about.
totally messed me up. I have had, still sometimes, have so much anger because that's the wall. It's like, I'm like, you're going to do what I say or goodbye to anybody.
I know.
To anybody.
It is. I think about domestic violence in the same sense I feel about slavery.
Yeah.
I do. Because if someone has obtained that kind of control over you, you are enslaved. Because you do what they
You're
you do
enslaved.
exactly
and
what
so
they
you
say.
feel disrespected, and so when you have some form of respect, you can't try to keep that.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
why
I
I'm
mean?
by
So you
myself
won't talk
today.
to me a certain way. That's disrespect.
So, Mama.
That's why I'm by myself today.
No, that's right, Mom.
So when I go in my door, I lock the door. If you don't have a key, you're not coming in. If you come in and you don't respect me in my house, bye.
Right.
I have nothing else to say
And
to you.
I can appreciate and understand why you would say that. It's sad though.
It's very sad.
It's sad
very
though
sad.
because I would want, like, I wouldn't want Molly by herself.
Yeah.
You know, but I understand because you know it is what it is out here.
But I get what she's saying. So I'm new to the dating world, and he even has to tell me, you need to come and chill, man. You ain't gonna find nobody acting like that. You gotta bring it down a little bit, be a little vulnerable. A little bit vulnerable, because they sensing all this anger around you.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that it goes from childhood all the way up to adulthood. You still have that.
Earlier you talked about your mother, and it really touched me. Are you an only child?
No,
No, child. You're the oldest child.
I'm the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It don't. Yeah. That has molded you today, hasn't it? It shaped you today.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. So I was pretty much like the big brother of everything. Had to watch it all happen, especially, and then it kind of dawned on me like it kept happening. So like
It
as
kept
a
happening.
yeah, as a kid, so, like I seen her go through it with my stepdad, who's
Yeah.
still my dad today, love him to death. Then her next boyfriend, like it was. I'm like the common denominator is you for some reason. So I was like, you know what? There's a problem with you too, and a lot of it was alcohol. So I've seen alcohol cause explosive fights, stuff
Yeah.
like that, and then I noticed it started leading into relationships with myself, like when I got older. So when I would go and date women, and I would see them get like drunk to that point where like I would see where my mom used to get drunk. I'm like, this isn't gonna end well, and it would cause fights between us because I'm like, I know how this ends, and I would kind of project that a little bit,
Yeah.
but some of them actually were as bad as my mom, and like I got punched in the face a couple times, so I was like. It almost brought me to the point where I wanted to hit them.
Oh, you know better.
No. But like, I mean, I once choked a girl because she punched me in the face 3 times. And I was like,
Okay.
look.
Oh, go ahead.
I was like, look. I'm not gonna let you sit here and harm me. Stop. So I apprehended him. I shouldn't have done it, but it brought me to the point like where I was like, I've seen this. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
So drunk fight, being idiots, we were both wrong.
Yeah.
She was more wrong, but I was still wrong, and I still take responsibility for that. So we were in the car on the way back from the bar, punched me in the face 3 times. So the first time, like, don't do that again. Hits me again, I'm like, don't hit me. Hits me the 3rd time, so I'm like, look, you do it again, there's gonna be problems. And then
Okay, so I kind of disagree.
Hey, I'm not, I was right. I'm not, but that brought me to that moment, and that's when I stopped. I'm like,
Well, maybe not the hand around the neck.
I still disagree.
But
I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you something. I said it once. I said it twice. I said it 3 times. I'm from the South. My mother taught me, and she said clearly, don't you ever put your hands on a woman.
But
when she crossed the line where it's your life, you got to protect yourself. I'm not saying knock her out. You ain't knock her out. You
shook up a little bit.
I'm just saying. I'm not gonna ever say to put your head on one, but sometimes I'm gonna be shaking every now and again, just to get off you, just to get you off. When she kept putting in your face,
Because she knew you probably wouldn't do anything. That's why
Yeah.
she did it.
she already knew.
It
Those
shows that you don't do that to her.
right. Those are the people who play that.
oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? You and I admire your. I admire you, man, just for feeling that way. But you did all right.
sorry.
You did all right.
I like to knock her clean
Yeah, he said he wanted to go to jail.
Right, because that's the good thing. Is that the only thing you did was restrain her from.
That's all you
Yeah,
did.
that's all you really did.
Which is the only thing you should ever do.
Right.
Is just
Right.
restrain someone
I ain't
until
gonna
you
lie,
can
I'd push that
safely get away.
She would have tried.
But
Alcohol causes a lot of this, so that's why I seem like the
Is
common
that
theme.
why you don't
from
drink
writing.
today?
Well, I have to work up to this.
Oh,
And I got
Yeah,
drunk
he does.
okay.
He's responsible.
Responsible.
He's responsible.
Okay.
sometimes.
You said you can't mess with a man in his job.
There you go.
And I appreciate a sister standing up for her man.
I'm gonna beat up that girl. I'm gonna find her.
I got her on my GPS. There she goes.
What year did this happen? Let me check Facebook.
Okay, we'll check his Facebook. Really. But Mom, that was the last straw for you though. Once that
Yes, once he crossed that line.
putting his hands on the child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like anyone who would do that in general, like
Okay, I understand
Lord.
you've been drinking and no.
like
No.
no.
There's no.
That's a kid.
There's some
There's no
things that there's
Like
no
drunk
excuse.
people know not to do that. Like
He would be so drunk and the next morning he wake up and not remember a thing. That is you shouldn't be drinking that much.
Yeah.
You don't realize
Yeah.
what you did the night before.
no matter what you do, no matter why you did it, you're responsible for it.
Yes.
Like
And then the thing that gets me is because you forgot, that means that you
Don't mean I forgot.
forgiven.
No.
Yes.
There you go.
Just saying.
Right.
You know, this has been great as far as how we address it. We're going to get to the final stage of how do we acknowledge it in the beginning. Because if people acknowledge this in the beginning, the signs of someone who has just issues that will get your ass in jail.
I know this with one of my best friends actually, her last boyfriend. Like I was the one who brought it to her attention. Like met him and just like some things that she would say, like I know she wasn't saying like venting, but like just the way that he, like I texted her, I'm like, are you okay? She's like, actually no, and I don't know why. And like she didn't realize like what he was doing. But like I remember when we were all hanging out, so at the time she was living in Texas and I was down there visiting for Thanksgiving, and we were hanging out, so we never get to see each other, and he picks a fight with her before then, so she doesn't get to enjoy her night, like, and then she like looked back and said that he does that often when she's hanging out without him. Like often.
Insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity.
So she's stressed because she cares about, like, she doesn't want him to be upset, but she also, like, these are her friends. You gotta grow up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, all right, guys. We're gonna address the state. We're gonna address the actual key things to look for. Why you should run, and the fact that you should not ever think that you have the power to change anybody.
That's number one.
That's number one.
If you don't want help, you're not gonna help yourself.
If you can't even, if you
If you
can't,
can't admit
there you go.
that you need help,
Yes.
then
Yeah.
You gotta
Nothing
first
is said
admit,
and
you gotta
done.
admit it.
And even in the admission of, okay, I need help, there's gonna have to be some actions behind
Behind
that
that.
show that there's a progression,
Look,
a real progression, and not just okay, you didn't hit me with your whole hand. I brought your ice pack.
Right. See, we got insurance.
no.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
No, but even with, acknowledging that, I have a problem, I need help. That acknowledgement is your accountability. The accountability part is, okay, where are you day 5 of needing that help? Day 10 of needing that help. And a person that's in an abusive relationship, if a person comes to you and say, I'm sorry, and you choose to stay with that person, it's now your responsibility to make sure that, okay, where are we at day 2? Where are we at day 3? Where are we at day 4?
Nothing's
And if
changed.
it's not changing, it's not going to change. I'm going to end up
But
on
see,
that
that's your
same.
responsibility because me going through that, even to this day, and you know this, even to this day, I don't know who told me I had a cape on my back, but for whatever reason, I'm always Captain Save a Hoe. I feel like I gotta save everybody.
Right.
I really do. And so I think because I thought I could save him, and he went to 5 times he went to counseling, would walk himself out. It wasn't me to save him. He had to save himself. And so
And that's the thing. If you choose to stay,
right.
then it's your responsibility.
Don't call me.
To see where you at day 4, day 5, day
If
6,
you
day
choose
7.
to keep
If
your-
walking away from counseling and walking away from everything, it's only a matter of time before you swing back and be that old
Hey.
person
Exactly.
that did the damage and did the dirt, and now
From
we're
the
back at the
beginning.
same thing.
Right. So I'll tell you this. We're gonna wrap this up. But my closing statement for this segment is this: if you decide that you okay with getting your tail whooped every day, if you okay with being controlled, just don't call me. Don't complain about it.
Yeah.
You know, because it will be a waste of time. Because until you address it, acknowledge it, digest it, regurgitate it, there's
And
nothing
work on it.
Yeah.
I can do.
Until you see that you're worth more.
Right.
You're worth more. Maybe not to that individual,
Well,
but to the
yourself.
one in the mirror. You gotta be
yourself.
worth something
To
to
yourself.
yourself.
To
And then
yourself.
if you have children, to your children, what am I to my family? What am I to my sisters? What am I to my brothers? When I would in those abusive relationships I was in, first thing if any of my family had heard or found out, they in jail.
Right.
And that's,
One's in grave and
but
they're in
that's
jail.
why we don't
And-
tell
and,
them.
and right, and we would
That's
stay
why we don't tell
silent.
them.
And that's what part of the reason why I would stay silent. And then another thing was, I could fix it. I can make things better. I can make them better. I could do this. I can do that.
They can negotiate
they
better than
just
anybody
need
else's.
help. They just need
Yeah.
help. They just need to see that things are better and things will get better. I'm over here happy-go-lucky, but I'm getting, you just bumping that shit out of me.
right.
That's
Beat
funny,
the
but
joy
right.
out of me.
Right.
So now I
Right.
gotta
Right.
go back into my little prayer closet and try to make things better. And then the whole time I'm coming back out, we're going through the same thing where it's like, okay, look, I'm not hitting you because I know we'll end up. I ain't going to jail. You're not worth jail.
No.
You're not worth jail for me. So my abuse was pretty much, I'm taking it. I ain't gonna hit you back because I got too much that I'm worried about. Too much I'm responsible for my own kids.
Okay.
I'm responsible for my own future. So all of those things.
So we will address how we address the signs.
Yeah.
Because if you know the signs, then you can do what? Free yourself in the beginning and not be telling the same stories that we're telling today.
Right.
All right. There you go, starting already. This your last drink. That water is terrible for you. But really, on your side, it's been a great conversation, as I said before. But what are the signs, guys? I mean, if you were to tell yourself 10 years ago what to look for, what would you tell yourself? For me, at the back, where is that person in their life? To me, that says a lot. Are they in a space where they're happy? Are they identifying where they are in their life? Because it seems to me that plays some factors into this domestic violence piece, or what behaviors come along with it. I also look at myself, because everything ends and begins with me. What I allow is going to be. What I won't tolerate, I won't tolerate. But at the same time, the things I've been through, I don't want to hold them as baggage, right? So that when I can't be my best self in the next situation, in my work, it doesn't have to be relationships, y'all. It can be work, church, social, friendships. Because whether you were controlling in your relationship, you're controlling your friendships too, right? Right? So, what are the signs? What are you looking for? Jonathan, what do you look for? That will make you just like, oh, hell no.
Communication is the key. So if he can't, or he, I keep saying she. Who is she?
Because I don't know who she is for you.
She.
I don't know you.
It's me.
She is me.
He, because it's he.
Right.
If he can't communicate, then that's an issue. And then I need to be careful not to communicate too much information to my friends, which will bring a division between my friend and him.
So you sound like you're talking about, okay, so if you go to your friends with whatever's,
Right.
it's a whole different conversation.
It is.
It is, right, y'all?
Friends
Because
get protective.
Friends are
Right.
protective, but then they would stray away and make me think that he is this type of person, but probably isn't this type of person. But because I'm giving you all the bad stuff and then not the good stuff,
Right.
I'll give you all the good stuff, some good stuff, but then you just taking all the bad stuff. You're gonna make me believe that he is this type of person, and he's not the type of person.
okay, so you're talking about communication with your friends.
And him,
Everybody.
everybody. And the Lord. I got to talk to the Lord as well. Tell him my issues and concerns so that he can help me as well. Because I know I need help. So if I'm not talking to him, then he can't help me.
All right.
I'm blocking him in my blessing as well.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
For me, one of the things I look at is how they speak to someone that they're angry with, but they care about. How. Yeah, that's all. I look at how people treat others when they're upset with them.
Upset. I just had this conversation, with a few people. Respect me in that situation. Because you're angry, you don't have to, say just anything to me.
Yes.
Just respect the situation.
Yeah. Don't call them out of their name. It's okay to be frustrated, but
definitely.
also realize who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And then if you feel any kind of speak to them immediately, hey, I don't like how I came off in that, and I want to apologize. Something like that. Just make sure that they know that, you wouldn't want that to happen to you, so at least I don't. Yeah.
Mom, what would you tell the young girls today? And I know Lord, she can write a book, y'all, for real. What would be your advice to young women today in regards to relationships, in regards to if the signs of domestic, what you went through, what would you tell them not to do or look for?
like I said before, if you look at a guy tall, dark, and handsome, you got to get past the outside.
Come on now. Come on now, Mom.
All right, if you're in situations with this person, observe like how they talk to people, how they react to different situations, and if alcohol or drugs in it, you need to immediately go the other way, because that's not good. Alcohol and drugs diminish your reactions to situations. It some little thing in you explode, then you don't need that. And family, their family, if they don't talk about their family or they're not around their family, and if you are close to your family, then they'll probably try to pull you away. That control, to get you to their side, and family is everything. If you don't have a good base, if things start going south, you need somewhere to go. And if everybody is talking about you, that do you know what? No. Your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, grannies. You have to have a sounding board for some relationship issues.
Yes. Yes. You hear that? Sounding board. Okay.
I mean, you may not tell them everything that's going on, but you can always ask questions of Auntie such and such and such and such. Did you ever have that happen to you? And so, girl, let me tell you. And when she breaks it down to you, okay, then you know where to go.
So basically, tap into your elders.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all hear that? Tap into your elders. I've always believed that, honestly, myself. I do that today. Tap into, when it's something I don't understand, or it's a little weird, or I know if I go through it on my own, Lord Jesus, it might not come out right. I'll call my elders. I'll call mom, I call my grandmother, I call my uncles. I call somebody that I can get a different perspective from.
Right.
Versus my little, I'm not a spring chicken, but still, I got a little anger issues.
Don't always ask your friends, because they'll send you down the wrong path every time.
Yeah. Give me any final thoughts, sweetie.
I mean, for me, looking back, and I think Mom touched on it, is isolation on both sides. Meaning that if they begin to isolate you, and if they don't have friends, and this particular person didn't have friends, I thought it was kind of weird that a man didn't have friends, and so those are signs that I didn't recognize back then that I would say look at right now.
Right. All right. Well, for me, guys, can't look at my face here. If you're out, if you're dealing with anything that you feel you're unsafe, you don't know what to do in your relationship, and you know it's domestic violence, call the domestic hotline. Call the hotline. They will make sure that you will get the help you need. Don't call me. I'm gonna tell you that. Don't call me. Because if somebody hitting on you, you're a woman, you call me, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to jail. So call the hotline. Don't call me. Thank you for joining the Butlers Kitchen for domestic violence. And see you next episode.